Right now, somewhere in the world, 40,000 people are screaming at two teams chasing a ball. You might be one of them. You clench your fists over a game you're not even playing. Your heart rate spikes. Your palms sweat. But the real answer for why you do this is far stranger than entertainment. It starts 60,000 years ago. No stadiums, no scoreboards, just a circle of firelight and two men grappling in the dirt. Your ancestors didn't invent sport for fun. They invented it to survive a problem. The problem was simple. Groups of humans are dangerous to each other. Aggression is useful for hunting and defense, but pointed inward, it destroys the very group that needs to cooperate to eat tomorrow. So how do you keep the aggression without keeping the bloodshed? You put it in a box. You give it rules. You turn a fight into a game. The Austrian zoologist Konrad Lorenz called this ritualized aggression. He spent decades watching animals compete for dominance without killing each other, from wolves baring their throats to stags locking antlers instead of goring flesh. Nature had already solved the problem. Combat with rules is safer than combat without them. Your ancestors borrowed that same trick and turned it into culture. Think about what wrestling actually is. Two bodies, no weapons, a clear beginning and a clear end. A winner who is declared, not one who is buried. Anthropologists have found evidence of wrestling depicted in cave paintings more than 15,000 years old, long before anyone wrote down a single rule for it. It didn't need to be taught, it only needed to be allowed. Here's the part that should stop you. This wasn't a break from serious life. This was serious life. The Dutch historian Johan Huizinga argued something radical in his book, Homo Ludens. He said play isn't a byproduct of culture. Play came first. Law, religion, war, art. He believed all of it grew out of the same root as a child's game, the same impulse to create a bounded space with agreed-upon rules where the normal weight of consequence is lifted just enough to let something meaningful happen inside it. A boxing ring is that bounded space. So is a courtroom. So is a chessboard. So was a circle of ancient hunters watching two young men wrestle for status instead of stabbing each other over it. Why did your ancestors need a way to compete without killing? Because competition itself never went away. It couldn't. Resources were limited, mates were limited, status was limited, but murder is expensive. It costs you an ally. It costs your tribe a hunter. It invites revenge that can wipe out an entire lineage. Ritual combat let people settle the same disputes, status, dominance, courtship without the cost. You still feel this today, even if you've never thrown a punch. Watch a group of friends argue over a board game. Watch how the losing side jokes about revenge next time instead of storming off in rage. That's not a coincidence. That's the same ancient circuitry running on a completely different game. Now here's where it gets personal. Why do you care so much about a game you're not even in? Part of the answer is neurological, and it's older than language. When you watch someone perform a physical action, your brain activates many of the same regions it would use if you were performing that action yourself. This is the basis of what neuroscientists call mirror neuron activity, first identified by Giacomo Rizzolatti and his team while studying macaque monkeys in the 1990s. Watching isn't passive. Your brain rehearses the movement it sees. When the striker shoots and scores, some part of your motor cortex acts like it just scored too. That's why you flinch when a fighter takes a hit you're watching from your couch. But mirror neurons only explain the physical thrill. They don't explain why you care who wins. For that, you need to go back to the tribe. Ancient humans lived in small, tightly bonded groups, and their survival depended on group cohesion. The British anthropologist Robin Dunbar has spent his career studying how humans bond in groups, too large for one-on-one friendship to hold everyone together. His research points to shared emotional experience, laughter, music, synchronized movement, and yes, competition, as a kind of social glue. When your tribe's champion won, it wasn't his win. It was the group's win. His strength reflected the strength of everyone standing behind him. That's still exactly how a stadium works. You didn't score the goal. You didn't run the marathon. But when your team wins, you say, "We won," not "they won." We. That single word is a fossil. It's the leftover architecture of a mind built to fuse its identity with the group's fate. Because for most of human history, the group's fate and your own were the same thing. Losing mattered too. A tribe that consistently lost contests of strength against rivals wasn't just embarrassed. It was signaling weakness to every other group nearby. Weakness that could invite raids, stolen resources, stolen mates. So watching your team lose still triggers something disproportionate to the actual stakes of a rubber ball crossing a line. Your body doesn't know the difference between an ancient territorial threat and a missed penalty kick. It reacts to both the same way, with the same flood of stress hormones, because the emotional software predates the scoreboard by tens of thousands of years. Is that why you still feel sick after a bad loss? Yes, genuinely, biologically, yes. There's a darker thread in all of this, too. Combat rituals didn't only replace war, sometimes they doubled as rehearsal for it. Historians studying pre-agricultural societies have found that many ritual games, wrestling matches, mock battles, endurance contests were staged specifically around puberty and warrior initiation. Young men proved their strength in a controlled setting before they were ever expected to prove it in an uncontrolled one. The ritual wasn't just entertainment, it was training, it was screening. It let the group know, before anyone's life was on the line, who could be trusted to lead a hunt, defend a camp, or survive a real conflict. The sport, in other words, has always been a rehearsal disguised as a release. That framing changes how you might watch the next match you turn on. Every full-contact sport still carries a whisper of its original purpose. Boxing, wrestling, rugby, martial arts. Strip away the sponsorships and the broadcast deals, and what's left is two bodies testing dominance inside a boundary that keeps everyone else safe from the outcome. Even non-contact sports carry the fossil of the same instinct, just filed down further. A chess match is combat with the violence removed entirely, leaving only the strategy and the status behind it. A foot race is a hunt with no prey and no weapon, just the pure test of speed your ancestors needed to outrun a predator or catch tomorrow's meal. You built stadiums where your ancestors built fire circles. You built leagues where they had loose alliances between bands. You built jerseys where they had markings, paint, feathers, anything to say, this person belongs to us. But the underlying architecture never changed. Group loyalty, physical prowess, a safe container for danger, a winner whose win becomes everyone's win. So the next time you find yourself gripping the armrest during a close game, ask yourself what's actually happening in your body. It isn't really about the ball or the puck or the finish line. It's about 60,000 years of your ancestors needing a way to compete without ending each other. It's about a brain that still mirrors the bodies it watches. It's about a nervous system that still fuses your identity with the fate of your group. Because for almost the entirety of human history, that fusion was the only thing keeping your ancestors alive. You didn't inherit a love of sport. You inherited a solution to violence, and it just happens to look like fun. Subscribe to learn more about ancient humans and their impact on our current life. See you in the next one.